In this episode, I'm sharing instructions on how to eat an entire elephant piece by piece. Specifically, what advice I would give my younger self when I first got the idea to make dolls and had no clue where to start. Back then, the problem was a lack of information and nowhere to look. Now, it's the opposite. An overload of information and no idea whom to trust. Where to begin? What to focus on first? One master says, do it this way, another says, never do it that way. How do you keep your sanity amidst all this? I gathered my foundation from the most unexpected places, collecting crumbs wherever I could find them. But let's go back in time. Imagine I have just seen a ball-jointed dolls for the first time and want to make my own. My own, as authentic as Yugoslavian reggae. Step first. What is a ball-jointed doll? First and foremost, you need to understand the creation process. To do that, examine the doll as a whole. A classic handmade ball-jointed doll is essentially an anatomical sculpture divided into parts and mechanically connected using joints and elastic cords under tension, whether made of porcelain or any other material. The doll's figure is divided into hollow pieces held together by elastic cords hooked inside the head. At the points where limbs connect to the body, spheres are added to enable movement. That's why it's called a ball-jointed doll. The joints are aligned with leather, allowing the assembled doll to pose smoothly. The more parts it has, the more pose variations are possible. However, this gives the doll a unique ball-jointed aesthetic, different from human anatomy. So you are always balancing between the natural look and mobility. I even once made a porcelain doll with jointed fingers for special general enthusiasts, so you can find joints in the most unexpected places, even ears. Step 2. Sketch and templates. Just like a painting starts with underpainting sketch, a doll begins with a blueprint and drawing. The best things in life are free, and so is your idea. You need to visualize how your doll will look and draw it in profile and front views. If you are eager, you can start by sketching in 3/4 views, portraits, facial expressions, and so on. But the basic requirement is 2-view drawing. These images are not just for visualizing this concept. Ultimately, you will need to create a template from this scheme. It helps maintain proportions during sculpting. After drawing the doll in 2 planes, cut out its contour from cardboard. During sculpting, insert it into the parts to control proportions, trim excess, or add materials. This technique was taught in our school drafting classes. For those who have tried modeling in any 3D editor, it's familiar. A flat imaging differs from 3D one only in depth, and creating something in volume is accessible as drawing a picture. You can make pictures human-like or exaggerate certain elements. Cartoonishly, for example, make the eyes and hips larger. If you would like, you can download my template via the link, fill out the form, and it will be sent to your email along with an invitation to our Saturday Zoom Club meeting. Step 3. Creating the inner core. So the desire to make your own doll is irresistible. You have learned where to start and realized you must be part of this world. You have imagined your doll, or better yet drawn it, and cut out a cardboard template. Maybe your character is ready and you can tell their story in detail, but you haven't visited a material store yet. Let's first decide on the technique, and then I'll tell you where and what to buy. Inside the parts, we need enough space for the elastic cord. Therefore, before sculpting, create a core matching the doll's size using our template. Then cover this core with clay and remove it afterwards, leaving hollow parts. The easiest way is to use foil. If working with air-dry clay, you can use plasticine wrapped in film. But then you will need to cut the parts and reassemble it, so let's stick with foil. So we make the base core, remove the filling, and then complete the sculpture. Step 4. Sculpting and Joints. Of course, you would like to sculpt the entire doll at once, then cut it into pieces and insert the joints. But due to the hollow interiors, that's not practical. Initially, we will try to sculpt parts as a whole pieces, then divide them into halves: body, head, arms and legs. Hands and feet are made separately, preferably at the end, to avoid getting lost in details and to convey the doll's character once the face and body proportions are clear. We move from larger to smaller elements, or as Sherlock Holmes deductively said, from general to the specific. First, we make hip and shoulder joints for the body, then add knee and elbow joints for the limbs. Balls for the doll are a separate story. Some people even ask where I buy such neat balls for my joints. Of course, we sculpt them ourselves. By the way, I will explain how to make the perfect ball here. The doll joints are lined with thin leather or suede. You need the thinnest glow leather. Look for pieces where leather is sold. Sometimes you can find scraps in such stores. This is necessary to protect the edges from chipping and to make movements smoother and more pleasant. Glue carefully, as this area will experience constant friction. Step 5. Choosing materials. Materials are a kind of fetish. I have loved at stores since childhood. The labels on packages and the store smell. Which material should you choose? The options are overwhelming. Stay calm, I'll explain everything. Your first doll can be made from air-dry plastic or polymer clay. Both materials are suitable, each with pros and cons. Polymer clay is better because you will have few issues with fingers' facial expressions and fine details. The only downside is you will need to bake the parts in the home oven or air fryer. But this disadvantage is overweighed by the advantages, as you can control the plasticity yourself, saving progress like a computer game. For starters, I recommend the polymer clay brand Super Sculpty Living Doll. It's the most comfortable to work with. You will need a special solvent for it. There are liquid ones, gels, and liquid plastics. Any will do, as long as it's for polymer clay. It's best to find a transparent liquid softener. It's more convenient for sanding. Any brand will work. I use Cernit. It works great. You can find polymer clay and solvent on Amazon or nearby art stores. Let me repeat how to save progress to continue working without losing it. With polymer clay, we use so-called semi-bakes or partial bakes. The temperature at which the clay becomes fully hard is 130 degrees Celsius. But if you heat it to just 110 degrees Celsius, it will also harden, but you can still cut it and add fresh clay, working comfortably with the relief. This way you can achieve unprecedented detail through iterations. A separate trend I am trying to instill in our community is sculpting the head starting from the skull. I won't go into too much detail here, but if you sculpt an anatomically accurate skull using the same templates, the face will turn out stunningly beautiful. Because proportion is what gives a face its charm. Like rhythm quietly turns sound into music, proportion gives your doll a soul. So yes, partial bakes at 110 degrees Celsius are unlimited. You can sculpt the face from start adding layers like a real person. Step 6. Tools. Don't try to get everything all at once. You can start with the bare minimum and add more as you figure out what works best for you. Explore what you already have. You would be surprised how handy a manicure tool or pointy wooden stick can be. Tools I use to sculpt. I actually do a lot with just my fingers. Just keep wipes nearby so you don't leave fingerprints all over your work. My favorite set: a flat edge tool and one with a small flattened hook, a ball-tipped tool, a tiny spoon-shaped tool, a set of small craft knives in different shapes, silicone-tipped brushes in various shapes, regular paint brushes, one round, one flat. Occasionally, I use wooden sculpting tools. For tiny details, a big needle or an awl works great. Eventually, I recommend filling some wool carving tools shaped like little scoops. They are perfect for carving out joints. Other essentials: a hacksaw blade, just the blade, sandpaper from ultra-fine to rough, ideally for soft baking, PVA glue, and a transparent glue like Patex. Sharpen your metal sculpting tools. Dolls are small, details matter. Set up a proper surface to work on. A ready-made crafted mat is great, or anything gentle for your eyes and easy to clean. And if you get really hooked, I highly recommend investing in a Dremel, a rotary tool used by engravers. There are tons of attachment for it. Not the cheapest purchase, but a game changer. Step 7. Armature and reinforcement. You start with a basic form, reinforce it with cloth or gauze and PVA glue, and sculpt on top. That's how theater puppets are made. The doll will be bulletproof almost. The ultimate weak spot: fingers. They need reinforcement. With a dry clay, I use wire wrapped with thread, sponge fibers, or tissue paper, all with PVA glue. Otherwise, your clay won't stick to the wire. Here is how. Take a wire, twist it together for strength. A Dremel helps us with this. Measure the length, the finger plus the part that goes into the palm. Tear off a piece of cosmetic sponge, apply glue, and wrap it around the wire, rolling it between your fingers. Once the glue partially dries, the bulk will shrink a bit. Lightly dry it, not completely. When the glue stops sticking, roll it on the table to make it cylinder-shaped. This is when you bend the joints. You can also use paper towels instead of sponge. Just tear, don't cut. Another method. Wrap the wire in thread, coat with PVA, and let it dry. If you are using air dry clay, you can build thickness using slip. Clay mixed with water. Dip the finger in it, let it dry, repeat, then sculpt the final details on top. Step 8. Elastic string assembly. Your doll is held together with elastic. Ideally, get elastic made for ball-jointed dolls. It's stronger and more springy. The thickness depends on the doll's size. The thinnest points are the wrists and elbows, where 2 cords must pass. That's your starting point for sizing. Elastic stretches over time. Dolls need to be restrung eventually. You can find elastic on Amazon, Etsy, or AliExpress, looking for BJD special shops. To fix the elastic in place, we use hooks. I make mine from wire. Office paper clips work surprisingly well. Here is how. Straighten the clip. Use round nose pliers to shape it like a little dollar sign. If your doll's limbs are very thin, make the hook longer to the loop, length in the middle on the arm. You thought doll making was all lace and ribbons? Think again. Hardware stores are the doll maker's best friend. Top 8. Eyes and lashes. Next, your doll needs eyes. You can paint them, make them yourself, or buy them. Etsy is full of options. They come in acrylic and glass. If your doll is made of air-dry clay, any kind will do. But if it is polymer clay, only use glass. Acrylic can melt in the oven. Shapes vary too. Spheres, half spheres, ovals. I prefer ovals, but that's personal. All doll eyes come in sizes. For a 40 cm dolls, go with size 8 if you want a big eyes, or size 6 for a more natural look. You can also buy eyelashes in the same shops. They usually come on beds, strips, some synthetic, some natural. Synthetics tend to be thinner. Step 10. Sanding. Your doll is sculpted, next comes sanding. A time-consuming but crucial step. Like everything in doll making, it tests your patience. Air-dry clay is a bit easier to sand than polymer clay. For polymer clay, after sanding, do a final full bake at 130 degrees Celsius for long enough. I explained it in detail in another tutorial. If you used air-dry clay, just let it dry thoroughly. Step 11. Painting. Painting time. There are lots of ways to paint. The simplest is with acrylic or oil paint, which takes longer to dry than acrylic. Finish with protective varnish, Mr. Clear, preferably matte. It's the least fuzzy options, though also the least durable. Another easy method is using soft pastels rubbed on dry, then sealed with varnish. For polymer dolls, bakeable paints made for rebound dolls are amazing. I have found a Spanish brand, and you might get lucky finding warehouse leftovers. They're pricey and rare, so not worth buying for your first doll. But hardcore fans, take note. I have a free lesson that goes deeper into materials and shows where to buy them. Link here. Step 12. Hair. Last but not least, hair. Quick answer to a frequent questions. Human hair does not work. It's too thick. Synthetic hair looks cheap. The best choice is goat hair or mohair. Brush it out, remove the coarse guard hairs, glue it into wefts, then attach it to a wig cap. Perfectionists can even root hair one strand at a time into the polymer clay. Every doll maker should try this once, just to find out how fast it will drive you insane. No recommend for the first doll ever made. You can dye the hair with a regular hair dye. Buy prepared hair bundles, wefts, or even full wigs if they match your vision. Just search doll hair on Etsy, there is a gold mine of options. Step 13. Final assembly. Now it's time to put everything together. This is usually an emotional moment. A chaotic pile of parts becomes a character with a unique soul. And you realize all those sleepless nights, tears, and frustrations were worth it. Next come clothes, shoes, the whole look, and an endless game of imagination. I have a whole episode about doll clothing with some lovely views from Montjuic in Barcelona. There are even a few decent ideas sprinkled in there.